Mad Max Fury Road is probably the most overrated movie of the year. It is. If you watch Rotten Tomatoes right now, it says that critics gave it a 99 or a 98%. And that's absurd. It's not nearly that good. It's not The Godfather or, you know, Citizen Kane or Casablanca. It's Mad Max, and it's not even the best in the series. To this day, The Road Warrior is still hands down the greatest Mad Max movie ever made. It had a little thing called exposition and plot. This movie was great in the sense of like a great action type, maybe like music video. It was all style, no substance, and it's just truly overrated. Gotta say, the set design and everything that goes with that was phenomenal. I love the characters, I love the look of everything, but as far as the storyline goes and the script, it was choppy as hell. I mean, let me put it this way. The movie is about 2 hours to 2.5 hours long, give or take, you know, and there was about 3 chase scenes, each of them being about 20 to 30 minutes long. Let's just say 20 minutes, which means you have 1 hour of driving, which is fun. I mean, they're a bit interchangeable from one chase scene to the next. Literally, you could have edited one scene with the other and could never tell a lick of difference. But the other hour and a half of film, which typically went from having an orange filter to a blue filter, was pretty unbearable to watch. There's a lot of these female characters that were not really shown in the trailer. Obviously, Charlize Theron was great, you know, but even then, it's like I enjoyed watching her, even though she kind of took the title character away from Max a little bit. It was like Max was like her partner, and it kind of felt like you were like just jolted out of this movie. I'm like, is this Mad Max, or is this, what's her name, Furiosa, or whatever Charlize Theron's character's name is? And it was hard to get into it, because, I mean, I enjoyed the action. Hands down, action was top notch. It was a bit redundant because they kept using the same type of tactics, and maybe sometimes you kind of like start to wonder, how come after the third time, in the third 20-minute chase scene, these guys can't take down an 18-wheeler? It's like it's the same thing. They jump on the side, Charlize Theron or somebody else just kind of gives them a little nudge off, and they keep going. They don't try it. They don't up the ante and be like, well, let's bring out the bigger guns. It's like, nope, they're just gonna keep doing the same thing they've been doing. And I was fine with that, but you know, everything that was teased in the trailer, you know, Charlize Theron and Max, you know, played by Tom Hardy. You know, I wanted more. I wanted a little bit more of like, well, what has Max been doing since the last movie? I mean, I know the timeline isn't really a 30-year jump like our timeline is. You know, they've recast it as Tom Hardy, and it's a sequel to Beyond Thunderdome, and I'm cool with that. Yeah, even though I don't like Thunderdome. But like I said, the storyline's very basic. It's basically like you have this evil guy who's like this religious leader who controls all the resources like the water and the oil and what have you. And he basically just has like 5 brides, and he gets them, he wants to get them pregnant so that he can have like a prince, if you will. And Charlize Theron, who works for him, you know, who's secretly trying to rebel, is transporting all 5 of his important brides or what have you. And in the middle of like the opening act, she's just like, with no planning, she's just like, I'm gonna turn left and go east. And even the people with her who are trying to, like, you know, who clearly aren't along for the ride, are saying, what is she doing? We're going east. And then about 10 minutes later, they're like, oh, huh, we should chase her. And it's just, like I said, she stole the show. And I like Charlize Theron. I thought she was a strong character in Prometheus. And I was kind of expecting a little bit more of that. Like, she's got a lot of charisma and a lot of, you know, just, she's got that Linda Hamilton badassness that we saw in Terminator 2 that I think she really brings to the screen. But it's like they played down Tom Hardy, and what they didn't tell you in the trailer was that, like, you have the 5 brides who are just dead weight as far as being stock characters, who are sitting in the back seat just like, you know, oh, my water broke, or oh, you know, they did nothing. There was 2 pregnant women in the back seats who were about 8.5 months along, and I couldn't even differentiate one from the other, because one of them died, spoiler alert, and I was like, oh, there's another pregnant one who's 8.5 months along? Oh, I didn't even notice. Huh. And also, I mean, little things like, and I don't want to spoil it at all, but little things like transitioning. Like, initially Max and Furiosa, I think it's her name, they didn't see eye to eye, and without any explanation other than there's a bigger bad guy that we have to go against, they just became allies immediately. They were like, and almost like love interests, kind of. I'm really stressing kind of, because it was so weak. I really felt that they were trying to do this thing where it was like, well, we want to make a trilogy, because Miller has said that or the executives have said they want to make a trilogy out of this, so let's just do a little bit of teasing for everything to come. But it was almost done to the point that there was no substance to the movie. People are giving this like a 99% and an A+. Why? It's fun to watch, but it's redundant. B, it has tons of scenes that are boring as hell. Typically anything when they have like the blue Instagram filter on it. And even the ending was kind of just like, okay, that was a nice clean-cut ending. And on top of that, they had tons of these transitional scenes that were terrible. It was like they'd have a scene that didn't really feel like they wrapped it up, and they would slowly fade it to black while something was kind of happening, and then flash to like the next day, something else is now going on, and it didn't feel consistent. Like, you didn't feel like there was like a script in play that made you feel like, oh, okay, so they connected these scenes. It was like, oh, they filmed this over here and they filmed that over there, and they just kind of squashed it together. Anybody who says this movie is an A+ movie is a fucking fanboy, and I'm sorry, they are. It's overrated, and it's just go watch the second movie. Go watch The Road Warrior. It's a far superior film. It's got Mel Gibson, I know, but it's like, it's just, I can't give this movie a high rating. It was everything that I wanted it to be, but it wasn't. I'm sorry, I guess what I should say is that it wasn't everything that I wanted it to be. It's like, I go to the movie theaters, especially this year, and it's like, oh, look, Age of Adeline. Great. Oh, Pitch Perfect 2? Can't wait for that one. And then Mad Max, and I'm like, finally! One for us, guys, alright? Finally. And what do I end up with? I end up with Mad Max, who is downplayed, playing second fiddle to Charlize Theron, whose main job is to get out of the truck and protect the useless, helpless, brides in the back seat. It's just him driving, and 5 women in the background just kind of complaining about, like, oh, this is not, we should go back, or we should do this, and him just being like, and they made him like an animal. It's like they really just, it's borderline sexist against men, because you have all these female, strong, empowered women, and women will love the Charlize Theron character, and then you have the men who are just played out to be these idiots. Like, you have Max, who was far more interesting in the previous films. This one, they made him like an animal. They even put the Bane mask back on him, and it's like he kind of just grunts like, yes, and he has like a couple lines of dialogue, but it's like they make him kind of like an animal, and then they have the other guy who I can't remember his name. He was the guy from Warm Bodies, and he was kind of an annoying character too. It was like that sometimes he thought that he was dead, and then he'd come back, and sometimes he wished he was dead, and then it's like by the time his arc came to a close, you just didn't really care. So anyway, rant over. I give Mad Max Fury Road a B-. I mean, and that's only because of like the substance of only because of the style. I mean, it was great watching it when, like, the first opening chase scene, and even the second one, but it's not going to hold up in time, guys. It's not going to be one of those movies that we're going to look back on and be like, this was a great movie, it was, I mean, yeah, was it better than Beyond Thunderdome? I guess. I'd say it's even better than the first Mad Max, but then again, the first Mad Max was kind of like a a low-budget indie film that laid down the groundwork for The Road Warrior, which I still think is far superior. Do yourself a favor, go to Walmart or wherever, pick up a copy of that, watch that, and I guarantee you, you'll spend your money much better than watching this movie. I give this movie a C+. Anyway, you've been watching Brews Reviews. Be sure to subscribe, like, comment down below. I'd like to hear a strong argument about why you think this movie is good beyond just the style. I'll give you that. The style's great. The guy playing the electric guitar on the bungee cords jumping up and down with the flames coming out, top notch. But I want a strong argument about why you thought the story was good. Because, honestly, the story was pretty weak. It was like, you know, like, it was the weakest storyline I've ever seen. And cliched. It was like, I've seen it before, and it wasn't even well done. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, you just got burned.